Hey, how's it going? Well,
I'm going good. How's it going with you, Figsy?
yeah, really good, man.
I'm glad.
Episode number 47 of the PlayStation Collectors podcast.
Yes, sir. I'm glad to be back. I was off last week. I was at a birthday. My girlfriend, we have the same birthday, so we had a birthday. My daughter, she's born 2 days before, so she had a birthday too, and my son a week before that. So it was just a big birthday celebration. I couldn't make it. I'm sorry, but here I am.
I had a birthday as well, so birthdays all around.
Hey, cheers. Are you an Aries, Figsy?
Yeah, of course.
Do you believe in that shit?
No.
Neither do I. All right. Good to know. We have something in common. Anyway. What,
So tonight, Will, we have Lee Turcotte on the show. Lee is a collector from Canada. He's got a massive PlayStation collection. It's absolutely amazing, and I'm very glad to have Lee on the show. So please welcome Lee to the podcast, guys. G'day, Lee.
Here I am.
What's up, Lee? How you doing, man?
I'm well. I just survived an ice storm for a few days without power, so it's a little touch and go there for a while. Having been pre-booked for a couple months and looking forward to it, to like maybe it won't happen. I guess that's all right. Maybe I can reschedule. To like, you know what? If it's meant to happen and we can just sort of wing it. I didn't rehearse any of this, but I'm sure there's lots to talk about, and I have a lot of things I'm excited to share, and I'm happy to finally get to know you guys. I mean, you kind of feel like you know each other from watching some of the podcasts, and we've done a few trades in the past.
You and I, Lee, we've been rubbing elbows. I think the first place I encountered you was PlayStation 2 Collectors of America was the first place I met you. And bullshit back and forth. And
I see a lot of stuff that people post. The algorithms sort of pick up on which ones catch my attention. So I don't know if that contributes to the lurking, but sort of, I never intended to get too involved with banter, because I just I deal with a lot of that at work. And I mean, sometimes things are spicy and they're hard to ignore, but I'm done with trying to educate people or make comments where they're not wanted or asked for. I feel like there's too much of that. I don't know if it's elitism or I'm behind a keyboard or whatever. And sometimes it's just meant to be fun, but things get out of hand. I've seen people's self-esteems and their reputations get ruined. And I don't know, the internet can be a pretty nasty place. So I want to play nice for the most part and work on good relationships. And if you just have a bad experience with one person, sometimes that's all it can take for things to go sour, and then people get the wrong impression without the context or without actually knowing you. I find a lot of things are easier settled with PMs or DMs or like, let's talk more about this later, whatever. It doesn't need to be everybody's business.
Just so you know, Lee, and you too, Figsy, I've never talked shit to your face, just always behind your back. All right. And hopefully it never gets back to you. So anyway, moving on.
So Lee, tell us about your collection, man.
What to say about my collection? It has turned into a collection. What I call video gaming as a hobby. It began as, I guess, any lighthearted endeavor in the 90s. So I thought if you asked a question like that, I'd probably go back a little bit to the beginning, because it helps give some context and just to explain where my head's at with collecting. But it's definitely a journey sometimes of self-discovery. I like to sit back and do some introspection and just say, what is the point of all this? You guys said before the show when we were talking off air, like, having a big collection can become a liability. And you start thinking about, it's not going to go to the grave. Should I cash out? I'll never have time to play it all. Should I have a small curated collection that has more personal meaning and I keep it? I have a son that's 8 years old. Will he care about any of this stuff? Can I live vicariously through him and go back to my youth? So I sort of make a point when I think about collecting, the time that you get into it, sort of the state of mind that you're in, and even the pop culture, all those things at the time contribute to that feeling that you get, or the satisfaction that you get from experience something for the first time. And And that's what PlayStation kind of is to me, because it's evolved and it's changed. And I'll just say I got PlayStation when I was 13. The first thing I bought that was big with my own money came from a poor family. You know, I have all this origin story where I sort of would go to friends' places and play all the old consoles.
Yeah.
We had a couple of like Commodore 64, Atari. I didn't even have an NES for a few years when it came out. I got pretty hooked on the Mario games. But fast forward, 13, I was at that age where it's what's trendy and what's cool. Is it cool to be a gamer? There's a lot of questions about whether it was just a hobby, if it was something that would actually have value in your life, if it would ever amount to anything, that sort of thing. And my parents were kind of traditional and old school, if you will. Work ethic and how is this going to tie into your career, and it'll never amount to anything. And I was always an intensely competitive person. I just played a lot of sports growing up. My parents separated, and I think I had some identity issues I was trying to work through. So video games sort of offered some escapism, but I realized with the competitiveness, you sort of meet people that are like-minded when you get into collecting, and you're like, that guy's kind of like me. Like when you discover nothing really needs to be done to the extreme. It's not like you're trying to compensate for something or prove something to someone. But it does kind of take on a life of its own. If you're competitive and you're in for the thrill of the hunt, you're trying to find stuff, and I guess that feeling starts to fade a little bit after you've got some of your jewels in your collection. I don't know if I want to stop here. I know.
No, keep going, Lee. Keep going.
I got a question. I mean, we all of us, anybody who does this hobby started off as a gamer. When did you make a conscious decision to say, I'm going to collect these things, I'm going to amass these things? When was that? Was it at 13? Like when you first got your PlayStation?
You know what? It was pretty slow. Those early years, I had the long box titles. I had a small room, a small space, not a lot of money, just working odd jobs and reading magazines, before the internet really caught on. It's like, what's a good game if I'm going to drop 80 to 90 bucks on a game? And that was back when you played the crap out of games and you had to sort of test them, if that makes sense. Like, where are the secrets and what are the combos, because they're not really all known. And I guess it would take a while for that information to spread as well. So it was a fun time to sort of be, I'll just say that Tekken was the first. I was into fighting stuff, both just because I was in karate and mixed martial arts growing up. And I saw the motion captured games and the fact that Namco was bringing arcade games home. And I'm like, that's kind of sold me on PS1 at the beginning. And then I sort of locked myself away in my room and just hit random buttons to try to figure out combos. And playing in ultra hard mode, the computer would do some combo on me that I hadn't seen before. And I'm like, I know the moves that lead into that, but I've never gone beyond that. So then you're trying to press every button combination to figure it out. And you're trying to beat the game on ultra hard. And I actually learned all the frame counts for all the moves. And I made my own manual, leather-bound manual. I stitched it together. That's how hardcore I was. So
that's some dedication right there.
When I got to university 5 years later, after playing through the iterations of Tekken up to Tekken Tag, they didn't have a university video game club. And this was the early days of Evo. And Tekken had its own message board, Tekken Zaibatsu, and you could message different people that were involved in the community that thought they were hot shit, and sort of like call them out, like, okay, let's try to play a game online. And PS2 was pretty laggy, and back in those days, you didn't want any lag because you didn't want excuses for losing. So I actually had people coming to my dorm from Montreal and Toronto to challenge me to Tekken. So everybody from the community on campus would come around and like, let's see if somebody can finally beat Lee, because I was so annoying.
Oh, that's awesome.
I knew all the characters' moves, so it's like whoever someone chose, I would just take a good counter character and just make them look like idiots.
You're like, I've got a book on this. I made it myself.
I thought I was pretty hot shit. I'm like, if only my parents could see me now. I'm like, I'm getting a good education and I'm using that for something. Like, I don't know. But
it's crazy. If you did that today, you could make a living streaming.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? The whole esports thing. I had a lot of ideas back then about career choices with the martial arts. I wanted to get into stunt work. Maybe I'll go to Hollywood. Try to live the dream, that sort of thing. And I was also playing competitive badminton at the time, so
Oh,
I
nice.
actually played a lot, and I got to a pretty high level. I wanted to go to the Olympics, and I hurt my shoulder on a construction site when I was 2021, right before I started university. And they cut the funding to the badminton program the year I got there. So I was going to the specific university in Ottawa to train under a former Olympian, try to get the experience and uh, compete and go to these tournaments where I would sort of build up my reputation from doing well. And in Canada, the sport is growing, but there's still a lot of work to go for sponsorships and funding. And you have to travel to international competitions to get the ranking points to make it to the Olympics. So a lot of like athletes to get to a certain level need some extra financing and help. You can't just quit work and quit school and go, travel. So the only way I
Badminton.
could do that, I thought, was through education, right? And that was the plan. But then, I had a few. I'll get to it. Yeah. What's that, Phil? Well,
Badminton's a game with the racket and the shuttlecock, right?
Yeah.
yeah, as they say on Trailer Park Boys, badminton.
I played badminton when I was a kid at school. I played it for 3 or 4 years.
No,
Like
I
it's fun. It's nothing like it's not like tennis or anything. It's completely different. But
I know, I
some
know, I
skilled
know.
badminton players are insane.
It's fun when played casually, and I think the public perception of badminton, just because it's not televised, it's an international sport. It's huge, like soccer, but in other parts of the world, people have huge prize money and they're recruited at young ages.
Southeast
And
Asia,
it's
it's
kind of
huge.
not. It's kind of like the opposite of hockey here. I played hockey as well growing up, and I actually found badminton as a discipline. If you look at it, you're using things that you learn in every other sport. You need to be very well rounded to be a good athlete. So for me, it challenged me, and there was always a lot that I could improve on. And then things kind of got derailed, but I ended up coaching and playing throughout university, and do a bit of coaching in high school as well, and came on some troubling times during COVID. So I had to kind of take a step back, focus on my hobbies a little bit, where I could do stuff that didn't take a lot of cash. But
So between 13 years old and going to college or university, were you collecting actively 13 to 18?
yeah, that's a fair question. I know there's a lot of gaps in there. So yeah, 13. I'm 41. Probably things amped up. I kind of bought games, like, again, just the games that I really liked up
The
until
games that,
I was graduated from university. I met my life partner at school. We had different goals, so it's hard to justify, outpacing. We'll just use that term because if you buy a game and you play it to completion before you buy another game, then usually the person you're with is going to look at that as a responsible decision. But if you're trying to save for a house and pay off a student loan, then so that took a while. Sort of side story there. I had a career doing construction work before school that paid better than my social services. I have a psych degree, but there's maybe misconception there, but it's not a very high paying field. A lot of the humanities aren't. But if you have a master's degree and you pay to go to the college and get accredited, there's a big bump. But if you're sort of at that bachelor level, you're sort of like mid class. Like you're not going to make a lot of money doing that. So I was making less money after I graduated trying to work in that field than I was before I went to school, except now I had a huge student loan. So it's hard to collect games if you're sort of like that. But 7 years as a slave, I say, I got things paid off. I've had 3 or 4 jobs for like the last 20 years, just grinding away and getting to this point where it's like, am I going to revisit that? It was never like a conscious decision to be like, I'm just going to try to collect for all the Sony consoles and get every game. I don't think it was like that. But the challenge of finding things for a good deal, flipping them.
that's I think that's part of the fun of collecting is, I mean, not just getting the games, but the hunt, finding, flipping, funding the collection through your hunting. And it's just, I don't think anybody with a huge collection has to be good at that at some level. You know what I mean?
I like to think so.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're a trust, unless you got a huge trust fund,
Yeah.
you gotta play the game.
It's not a race, right? I mean, on the one hand, you've got sort of FOMO and scarcity that happens if you take too long and you end up paying later. And everybody has a story to tell where they learned a hard lesson or they regretted not picking something up. And there's just speculation there. Sometimes it's timing. Like Figsy always says, you got to be consistent too. There's a lot of things, little things that go into it and can take a fair amount of time and energy. But I think at the beginning, I was really pacing myself. And a lot of things have dried up locally in the area. Like I had some expendable income after my first kid started school. So like the last 5-6 years, especially since the limited run stuff started coming out, I've been spending too much money on games. You know, here, I'll admit it on the air.
Is your wife watching?
She knows. I mean, we're constantly talking about this stuff. I was kind of like, it's now or never. Like it's kind of like that midlife quest for vanity. I'm like, I've put all my stuff on hold, and my stuff. When you say it like that, it's like a sacrifice to do everything else for everyone, so that you can justify doing stuff for yourself. But I mean, it's a hobby, right? I take it pretty seriously, but I don't know where I'm going with that. But I got to justify to everyone. You know,
Lee
why
sent
I'm
me
the way I am.
numbers yesterday. I'd love to go over them for everyone. So it's really impressive. You've got 1,287 PS1 games. Does that mean you're going for
I don't have a full.
set?
Nah, I might have. I don't know how it came across in the video. I was trying to explain how many games are in a full set, and then if you if you look at the amount of space that's on the wall, you can sort of get an idea of how many I have left.
So the plans to go for any sets completed all?
Yeah, the plan is to complete them all and then get into variants.
What?
Yes.
No, don't.
I've been after variants since before variant hunting was trending. I'll just say that. So,
yeah, it's a trend I'm not on board with. I never wore bell bottoms either. But so you're collecting PS1, PS2. That's where I met you. PS3, PS4, PS5.
I do not. So I've never been an early adopter, except for in the early days of scalping consoles when I was a poor student, and I thought I would. Yeah, I have a story there. I don't know, just a little aside if you guys want to hear. But I actually almost lost a credit in a course because I stayed up all night camping out for a PS3 at Walmart in Quebec in a snowstorm. Froze my ass off. I was the 5th person in line. I did not know if there was going to be enough PS5s to go, PS3s to go around. The next morning, they come out and hand people slips that are in line. And I'm like, am I going to get one? Are they going to make it to me? I got the last one.
Oh.
Right? Now, the story doesn't end there, okay? So before you celebrate, I had to go that afternoon and write an exam. I slipped on a patch of ice and bashed my head and went to my exam full of blood. So they gave me a rewrite a week later. And I was like, thank God, because I'm like, I was exhausted, right? So
I was up all night studying.
So at the end of the day, I get back home and I list this thing on eBay, thinking, you know, now I'm going to flip it. I'm going to get some money, buy some groceries, maybe, you know. No. So eBay was flooded with these things, and they came up with a policy sort of spontaneously, as far as I could tell, that you had to either have the PS3 in your possession before you could list it with pictures, or you needed to have the proof of purchase from a pre-order that had a certain number of days that had passed. And then they also had a mandatory wait period. So you couldn't do like a quick buy it now. you had to list it for a few days so that allotted time could pass. And so you can imagine what happened, right? By the early ones that sold fast got big returns, and then after a week or two, when I was able to list it, it was selling for what it was worth, right?
For
So
retail.
I ended up returning it to Walmart because I needed the money. Instead, it was so sad. Oh my god.
And so no
Not-
PS5. What about PSP and Vita?
I had a small Vita collection and a small PSP collection. Back before I took over the basement, I sort of was like, well, what do I want to collect the most? And I kind of need space. I actually went through a purge around that time where I looked at, as you would know, in the libraries, especially by the time you get to PS3, they started releasing a lot of these Game of the Year editions, games that added content on disc. And it's like, now I've got 3 copies of this game. Well, to save space, I'm just going to keep the most complete version and get rid of the other 2 or 3 iterations of it. And I did that at the time, and I got rid of my PSP and Vita stuff. And then years later, as I call it the point of no return, but I ended up getting my wife's blessing. I keeps calling the wife. You can have more space in the basement. Okay, maybe we'll stay in this house for a few more years. Those sort of conversations, right? So I'm like, okay, let's see. Let's do the math and see how much space a full set takes up. I actually wanted to have things on display. I had a grandparent that was a hoarder, and I had hoarder's guilt already at that point, even though I sort of had things organized and I had a plan. But I think I knew where I was going with it. So it's kind of an elaborate thing, but you count how many games, you make a list, you put some games in a space and you're like, okay, it's 30 across, to get to 1200, I'm going to need this many bookshelves with this many rows. And okay, it all fits just barely. And then you discover there's a variant, and
it doesn't
going
fit
right. So you're like, well, where do I cut off? Because I can't fit everything. So I actually have some of my collector's editions at my brother-in-law's, who said I have to pick them up this summer because he wants the space back. He's only had it for a few months, but I'm trying to renovate the basement, right? So you need the space to move around. Those boxes take a lot of room. So I'm like, can you just keep it for a few months and then I'll get to it? And then life happens. I got injured at work. The cost of construction materials went up. The wife wanted a trip. I should have looked. You see how bad I am? When I say the wife, it's almost like I'm saying like she's derailing my plan, but
no, you gotta work with your significant other.
Things take so long that sometimes you look at things as like an inconvenience or a fork in the road. But it's timing, right? It's like, well, if I had got those materials 2 years ago, they would have just sat there for 2 years, but they would have been cheaper. So nobody can really predict the future, but you got to kind of enjoy the process and the journey. And,
you're also telling us the story of your collection too, so that, I guess, derails that story a little bit.
It's a bit frustrating. I don't know, kind of look at everything and try to take stock, and you're like, well, I wish I could do things really the smart way. My dad was a construction guy, right? So he used to salvage, and he'd keep things and he'd start projects and they wouldn't be finished. And things were always like, we had to do that to get by. And he's just being practical. But I kind of didn't like living in a construction zone. So now that I have my own space, I'm a little bit like OCD about how things go. And another thing I didn't really touch on earlier, but I'm the oldest of 15 kids.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So having my own space is kind of a luxury. But it probably makes me worse because I have an 8-year-old. I only have one kid. I'm from that the new generation that can't afford kids. But I
wanted to ask Lee, you're in the construction. Are these shelves behind you? Are they custom?
Yeah, you could call them custom. So to save money on materials, Billy bookshelves are the most popular, most common bookshelf worldwide, I believe.
That's what I use.
Yeah, and IKEA is pretty much everywhere. So I had the finishes on them are a little different, but if you prime them and you cut them, or you can make your own extensions even if you have enough extra pieces. So
those are
they actually,
Billies. Those are Billies behind you.
They're Billies. So they have primer on them, and they have Sherwin-Williams
I love the blue.
Hyper blue paint. It's not quite the exact
great.
same color as the PlayStation blue, but it has a different look to it, which I can.
Now, Lee, before the show, you sent me a bunch of videos going over your collection, and I'd love to show everyone on the podcast your collection. So if you are listening on iTunes or Spotify, guys, be sure to jump over to YouTube for this part so you can see some videos of Lee's collection.
And at this moment, I would like to excuse myself because I have to use the bathroom. So, Fixie, if you could just take me out. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. I'll be back.
All right, let's get
I thought the videos would be a little bit easier than walking around in a dark, muddy basement.
Before he was a gamer. Of course, my son's favorite games, and every kid in that 4 to 8 demographic.
He's got a nice Minecraft collection already.
Here is
thanks to Dad.
Regular cycle of family and friendly games. The one with the slipcover is Stray. He and I were on a Horizon Chase Turbo kick for a good 6 months. That got put back into the collection. This is just stuff we brought up from the basement while we were playing Skylanders. Before he was a gamer.
Sorry, wrong way.
A little Ice Storm action.
Hello. Oh,
the dog is not part of the collection, by the way. Unless you're talking Silent Hill too.
Yeah, this is sort of our common area where we game. My wife likes to try to keep it like clean with like decor and stuff like that. I used to have a huge shelf on top of the TV loaded with games to help save myself from trips into the basement. That got removed when I redid the paint and we put the plants up. And this is my Doge. It's Cammy. No, she's not a fox. And if you have any other dumb questions, don't ask. She's not a baby. She's not a mini husky. She is a Shiba, and she does whatever the heck she wants. She's 15 years old.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just walks away.
And the house is messy because we're cleaning up. Dropped the son off at an in-laws place. This is on the way into the basement. Don't really know what to do with this space. My wife doesn't want me mounting anything on the walls. Anything that I put that's temporary just destroys the paint job. The lighting isn't great. I just kind of have a few different statues that I like to keep on regular rotation. Yeah, so our house is pretty well lived in.
Same one again. There we go.
Coming into the game room. Oh, it's muted again. I'll start it again.
Tour just because of file size restrictions, time limitations, and my basement really isn't finished and the lighting is bad. But I can probably make snippets of different sections of the game room. And then if anyone has any questions on the podcast or they want to see something in more detail, I can answer questions or show things off. So this is the wall of PS1. We actually had a house inspection not long ago, and behind that white panel, there is a window, and it needs to be accessible to escape, according to bylaw. So I made it collapsible, removable, and if I know they're coming, I can quickly pull it off, or if I need to get out of the house. It's probably not exactly the code, but I just wanted to make the most of the space, and having a window there, and then, sun fading on your games and stuff like that isn't very nice. And it kind of makes a nice display area if I want to put some lights on and show stuff off. Thought about getting like a little 3D platform for taking those 3D scans of things and just rotating them around. So yeah, this is a partial PS1 set. I tried to rough in the space for a full set, which those of you don't know, 12,800
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me. There's a
12,087
little
games.
faux pas there.
Quite a few. I neglected the long
1,287
box
according to
early
Game
on in the
Brave.
name of saving space and trying to get the smaller.
We all know
form
what you mean.
factor back then. Of course, you get in pretty deep, and then you kind of are like, well, if I can make it work, I have the space. I've been collecting for this long. I might as well keep going. So a lot of this stuff came at a premium during COVID, trying to cut wood and paint everything to match. But I definitely got ahead of myself with the reno. Basement clearly unfinished, yet felt the need to have the games out on display and accessible.
Priority.
Yeah, so I'm not going to give a full-fledged tour. Just
Yeah.
Oh, I love those PS2 boxes down the bottom.
It looks like the next one. Yeah.
that PS1 wall is a humongous wall of PS2, which has been rearranged several times in an attempt to make room for collector's editions, variants, and a full set. At present, I kind of have a mix of things at the top and bottom, with the full set plus variants in the middle, trying to have space for approximately 1,850 regular base set titles, and however many else collector's editions and variants. No one really knows the answer to the exact number. We're always trying to hammer down all those interesting finds, unique store exclusives, collector's editions. PS2 is really when Sony hit its stride with introducing a lot of different perks and exclusives and stuff like that.
Wow, I sound really boring and
Pretty
monotone.
proud of how the game room's coming along. The games definitely intend to get played and experienced by my son. Whoops, I forgot to move this. He's starting karate and jiu-jitsu this summer. So I've kind of got a workout stuff going on around here. Tried to just push everything into this side of the basement where we do the laundry. It's a bit busy. I'm kind of storing things too while I reno. So yeah, really wanted this to be a man cave and enjoy it. I'll get to this wall in a second. Along the PS2 wall, down to the other end of the basement, it's kind of long and narrow. You have a transition wall, which begins the PS3. And again, it's kind of like the base set in the middle, sandwiched between different boxed items that I couldn't fit anywhere else, and weird subsets.
This is a little more boring than showing off a specific
one of each unique title.
PS3
has less games,
segment of the collection for sure.
1,280 or so, if I remember right at last count. I kind of have the move titles in a separate area.
I like that.
Where'd you get those signs?
I'll get to that in the video.
Yeah, I've got these unique. Here's kind of a shot toward the other end of the basement where I was before. Got these unique lights that turn on, and I have them on a trigger switch, which is kind of neat. Save power, but somebody comes into a certain area of the game room, they all turn on. They're daisy chained together. And over here, I felt bad about having stuff in boxes, and I really wanted to show things off. I have not finished setting up the lights. So hopefully at some point when I finish the basement, the wiring will get done. And then I just have things thrown on this end. So I've debated whether I should try to get all the collector's editions for the PS3, because I was probably a good halfway there and I ran out of space, like every collector. So my brother-in-law has the other half of my PS3 collector's editions, and he needs to get rid of them because he needs a space back. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do there.
Send them to me.
I'll stop here. If you continue moving along the PS2 wall.
What happened?
Came on So we got lights here now.
Oh, so cool.
Proud of how these light boxes came together. They were all original. So the PS1 and PS2 ones were manufactured sort of with a hard steel shell holding everything together, and particle board. And one of the PS2 ones and this PS3, that one, and these ones I manufactured to the same dimensions as the original.
This is my look of pride.
Original acrylic marquees that came out of kiosks or stores.
Bit of an electrical nightmare, but that's okay.
The other two. So
Looks amazing.
I like the way it looks with the headers. So moving on this way. Again, no light in the corners, but you can see I've got stuff stuffed.
I bought all the LED lights.
Power
It's
bar
like,
hanging out there.
in order to connect them all, I feel like I have to drill
Yeah.
holes in all the
I made a
wood.
big
Otherwise,
trade
you
with
see
an
all the
NBA
wires.
2-ball demo disc.
So I'm not sure I like
to
that
a
solution.
local reseller, Sony rep, former Sony rep. I call him a reseller because, well, he collected to a point, and then he decided he needed the money to fund other hobbies. So I thought it was like a mutual trade type thing where he was going to keep it, but of course everybody hustles, right? And I hustled to get this. I decided I wasn't going to do demos, and I had a valuable demo. So
I don't know if you guys are familiar with
And
NBA
just
2-ball, but in PlayStation lore, it's one of the
I've got
rarest
everything hooked
demos.
up in HD, and
Yeah.
I've got more of these ports coming in, so I can try to make 4 players. Got some of those from the kiosk group.
Making my own
just have to
all-in-one
figure out how to mount
PlayStation
them without
Entertainment
destroying
Center over
anything.
there.
And I want to keep the original stuff as is. And Skylanders, Disney Infinity, Lego Dimensions Land over here. So the lights
Another
just
little-
came on. So we
What was
got
that?
lights.
Is that another
What?
little room in the back there?
Yeah, what was that? What's going on there?
Yeah,
Is-
you
is
noticed
this-
that, eh?
Is it storage?
So there is one more video.
Earlier. This was kind of a side
Oh,
or a
One more,
one-off
actually.
where I thought I'll display certain maybe subsets of different collections and showcase things. So I got a PS3 TV in there,
Yeah, I thought I'd
And,
have like
the idea
PS1
was
at the
to
top, then
play with
PS2,
original
PS3,
hardware.
PS4.
stuff in 3D.
It kind of works for
using all the
different things.
devices and
I want to showcase
have
stuff.
them all charged. Limited ports on that TV, but a very nice picture. A little on the small side, but yeah, just custom sized everything, and everything's plugged in back. Wasn't sure what to do here. I had collector's editions for a while. I had statues. I tried to put all the 3D games there. And then at the end of the day, I felt the boxed sets didn't really showcase well, having them spread out. And they took up a lot of space. I was trying to show off the covers of them in the actual consoles where they belonged. But the space became too much of a commodity. They were using a lot of space, having them strewn out sideways. So I thought, well, okay, why not try to group them all together and maybe go for that, master shot of every console's.
I don't know of anyone that's done that
And here we are.
yet. Tried to collect all the
Missing a
box
few
sets
for
on each
PS2.
console.
PS3,
Such a big task.
thought I had them all.
Very
still find the
redundant.
odd one from time to
But
time.
they look cool.
The ones I'm missing for PS2, I have in a holding spot in the States, which I'm picking up soon. Other than that, it's just a few variants I'm missing for PS2.
I got a few more stragglers.
PS3.
I don't think anything
I
too
think I'm gonna
expensive
pick up
left
what
to
I'm
grab.
missing next time I'm in the States. So beyond that, yeah, there's boxed sets for PS4.
This is
and
where
I'm
it
starting to
pays
get
to
into
be a
those
little
as
ahead
well.
of the game with the hunting,
I kind of glazed over this area earlier.
variant hunting, and research. So once you know what's out there, it's what's sort of well established in the community, then if you do have a decent memory and an eye for things, Figsy talked about the other day about spines. He recognizes spines. More on
There's
spines
one
later.
in there I don't recognize, and I'm going to be messaging you after the show. It's the
Yeah, I mean, you sort
big
of
Toy Story 3 thing on PS3. I haven't
whatever
seen that.
your wheelhouse is. Like you're an Aussie, so you probably have a different memory bank than I do. But I definitely noticed something different when it's out there, having had so many different spines. You can't see the covers when people make posts, right? You got like 20 of them stacked up. So if you know the serial numbers and what the standard copies look like, and you see something that's a little different, you might be the first one to sort of ask, hey, can I see a picture? Or you don't want to draw it to their attention. So you say, I'll just grab this cheap game. Maybe you could throw that other one in there too, while you're at it.
You take
all
money for the
nonchalantly, like it's nothing. And
so yeah, back to the kiosk end of the games room, which is still unfinished, like the rest of the room. You notice that little gap there.
Like I keep bringing it up, like I'm embarrassed the room's not finished. Like I'm never satisfied,
this is
right?
something I haven't shown too many people, but I had a planned secret room, partially because I ran out of space out here for PS4. And
boo-hoo, poor me, right?
I
Well,
didn't really think I was gonna go for a full set of
I quit.
PS4, but I started going after those limited run titles, and yeah, it's been quite a few years of collecting for PS4, and I was running out of space.
There better
out
be a
here,
sex
so
dungeon back there.
I got
yeah.
this sense of
I wanted to
urgency
have a
that's
Zelda,
so cool.
like when you find the secret room in
Convert this
Zelda,
whole
have that
storage
noise
room
play when you go in there.
into another
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
storage area for games. I've pretty much taken over the basement. My wife's given up at this point. But yeah, from the floor to the ceiling in this tiny crammed room,
Oh, I got that game.
there's supposed to be space.
I'm sure there's an Amori in there
approximately
somewhere.
3,000
No,
I didn't hoard
games
them, Will.
according to my
I bought them
calculation.
all. There
I'm
are
saving some for other
Everything
collectors.
said and done. No one really knows. That's part of the fun. But
Yeah.
I'm not just going for pure numbers. I have a lot of plans with the collection that I'll be sharing
It's the
on the
Annapurna.
podcast. And if you know me, I like to play the games, not just compulsive hoarder. And what motivates me to collect, I will share a lot of that stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tour.
How tight of a fit is it in
I
there?
always thought that if I was showing off the game room,
I
it would
know
be
what?
in a more finished state, but life happens.
The-
COVID
the-
happens.
The doorway looks pretty
And,
small, or
there's
the
a lot
entryway looks. How big is that entryway?
For collecting all
Well,
that.
I had a couple of different
get there when
design
I get
decisions
there.
to make in order to fit that kiosk
I
and
know.
have all that custom sort of cabinet work around it. So when I looked at the space and I was like, if I move the kiosk over here, then I can't fit these shelves over there. And it's kind of a non-standard size. One of the shelves kind of cuts into a pre-established door there, and I didn't reframe the door. I just sort of fastened everything in its place. And I thought I'll make this little narrow passageway because it's more video game-like, almost as if it's not supposed to be there. So I was going to cover it up with like a fake wall, try to use some of my handyman skills, maybe make something with like a brick pattern or
Dude,
video game.
My collection area, it's 2 Billy bookcases. That's all I got.
Yeah.
When I was full blown in the PS2, I had 3 Billy bookcases filled up, and just boxes of shit under my bed. And I killed my collection. I cut it down to like 100 games, 100 PS2 games. I was up to about. I was over halfway. I was like 900 and change, and then I was like, I'm done, and I just got rid of it all. And right now in my living room, because my living room is my collection area, I got the TV in the middle, and I got 2 Billy bookcases flanking it. And I want that corner piece, that angled corner piece is tits. Oh man, I want to order that so hard bad.
Are you talking about the Billy that's kind of like a half octagon or pentagon?
Yeah, the corner.
Yeah,
piece.
those display. I mean, they're solid, and the gaps are adjustable, right? So they're good for some of the bigger collector's editions because those are very hard to sometimes fit. I like them, and also having 2 of them. If you want to put something in between, you can connect them depending on where you put them.
I seen Finn just posted a new photo of his new corner piece. It looks absolutely amazing. I seen that and went, I need 4 of them.
I had a close look at how he put that together, not to I try to give him ideas sometimes how to organize things, but
You know,
he's pretty resourceful, I have to say. Yeah,
Yes,
that's good.
definitely makes
see it.
use of the room.
I see all the games, and I don't know. Just knowing that this shit is all Billy bookcases, it just gives me a Billy boner. It's fucking rad. Kudos to you, man. This shit's great. That's you
Oh
cleared
man,
them all.
Hey
So
guys, on this
many,
podcast, we got a few different segments, and one of those segments is a quiz.
oh
So
boy,
it's time
Here
to
we go.
play Bigsy's quiz.
sure you pick some ringers for me.
There it is. Stupid sound effect.
So Lee, I know you've seen the show before. Would you like to go first, or would you like to go second, being our guest?
Wow. I like to play mind games, but I'll just go first because there's no point. There's no sense giving him a chance at getting a right answer.
So as
Good
you
luck.
guys know, Pavel has once again provided all the questions for today's quiz. So thank you to Pavel, and thank you to Joe for once again being the editor of the show, guys. The magic doesn't happen by itself. That is Joe Rad in the background doing all the magic.
He presses a
Solid.
button. Magic.
All right, let's get into this. Question number 1. So Lee will have the opportunity to answer. If Lee gets the question incorrect, it will go over to Will, and Will will have the chance to steal for half a point. So first question.
Right.
I'm going to show you a katana controller. You have to tell me what game this was created for.
That would be Onimusha 3
Too
That
easy.
is from Onimusha 3.
on
Congratulations.
PS2.
You got one?
Perhaps. Yeah, I have one.
It's not a quiz question.
Let's see.
There he goes. This ties into our homework later.
Complete box.
Oh,
There you go.
Mess around,
oh
right?
wow.
Lovely.
That's beautiful. All right, well,
You
next
didn't
question.
see that in
Fun
the
for
video?
you.
I was looking at the shelves. I'll be honest with you.
Oh, Pigsy,
Well, I'm going to show you a
Fuck you guys.
cartridge,
Play Guitar
and
Hero
you have
with
to
that
tell
thing.
me. You have to tell me what system this cartridge comes from.
That's I've seen this. It looks like it could be Atari 2600. You know, it could be a lot of Atari 2600.
It is not Atari 2600. I will hand
That
this
was
one over to Lee with a chance to steal half a point.
Yeah, I can see the faint resemblance of the word Tetris there. I could be wrong, but that's definitely a clue for the era, an early Tetris game.
Looking for the console.
Yeah, something newer, maybe. No, was it on Magnavox Odyssey? That's too old. Kind of looks like Atari, but not the 2600. What else was in there? Yeah, how much time do I have?
5 seconds.
5, 4, 3, 2. ColecoVision.
ColecoVision it was, and you were on the right track, Lee. It was the Atari Jaguar.
Oh,
Sure.
what an ugly piece of shit.
Yeah, no, something didn't
It
look
really
right
is.
about the shape of that cartridge.
I have no respect for
How dare they? Atari brought back their old ugly designs and tried to put it in a modern
Atari.
console.
Atari did 2600 had some weird shaped cartridges, and but no, I guess that wasn't it. Some of them were just straight up or straight rectangles or curved off rectangles. Other ones were
Yeah.
angled. But no, I was wrong. But anyway,
Do you
moving
call
The
that
reason they're
ugly
not
or
around anymore, right?
ugly or vintage? Like
I
a certain amount of time has to pass before somebody appreciates ugly stuff.
No, no, that's
40
just-
years and it's still not appreciated.
I don't.
All right, guys, moving on. Let's get into question number 3. This one will be for you, Lee. I'm going to show you a video game. This is Woody Woodpecker's Frustrated Vacations. This game is released for the Sega Master System and the Mega Drive. It's a regional exclusive of what country?
What the heck is that TI there? Don't really recognize that rating. Language clues on the cover, eh? I shouldn't say anything because then Will is gonna.
I already know what it is, dude.
Yeah.
So you better
It
nail
looks
it.
like I'm gonna say Latin America
Country.
or Spain because of the.
I will say either of those answers are incorrect. So I will hand this one over to Will. The chance to steal half a point.
That is Brazil.
That's correct.
Ah,
Portuguese on the front cover.
that's Portuguese. Yeah.
Doe gave it
Shame
away.
on me.
I
All
speak
right, so
Spanish.
Will has come back, and Lee's still leading the point score of 1 to 0.5. Next question will be for Will.
All right.
Will, what game was banned in Denmark? Was it Mortal Kombat, EA Sports MMA, South Park: The Stick of Truth, or Wolfenstein?
I'm gonna say Wolfenstein because that whole Nazi thing.
So the answer was actually, sorry, that was incorrect. Sorry. I will hand this one over to Lee.
You almost gave it away.
I know, I almost did. Like,
Yeah, I
not
guess
Wolfenstein, but Lee has a chance to steal half a point.
Mortal Kombat's probably too obvious temptation there, but I feel like almost every country made made exceptions to get that game. So maybe we'll go South Park.
Yeah, I think that's it too.
South Park.
So it wasn't South Park. This is actually EA Sports MMA.
Oh,
And the reason it got banned is the Netherlands don't allow for energy drinks to be advertised.
what?
That's the reason of all reasons.
Oh man!
Well, I guess they care about their youth.
Yeah, good on them.
Yeah, we don't care. In Canada or the U.S., fuck them.
Moving on to question number 5. This one is for you, Lee. What is this? Which console's advertising poster is this?
Is that Will?
This is for you, Lee.
No.
I wouldn't be caught dead in those shoes.
No. Who are they forcing to play a game? I mean, some of the early PlayStation stuff's pretty
It's pretty out there.
sadomasochistic. If you want, I don't know what they're getting at there. Like, are they forcing someone to play garbage, or is he addicted and he can't stop? Oh, they're trying to submit him to subliminal stuff. I'm not sure what impression you guys take away from that, but yeah, I guess I'll just go PS1.
Wasn't PS1.
I think I've seen
We'll hand this one over to Will for the
Had
steal.
before.
All right, so that's a CRT, so that's a hint.
Yeah,
And those
the shoes should be a hint.
Yeah, the Nike douchebag Airs. That's another hint. I'm gonna say Xbox because it's
Oh yeah.
original Xbox.
Wasn't the Xbox? We were looking for Super Nintendo.
Oh god.
Yeah, like if you're really a sneakerhead and you look at those Nikes, I was thinking early 90s after I made my choice, but I might have guessed something in there if I had a thought like Will and looked at the clues better.
I was taking a dig at sneakerheads. I don't know shit about
The
shoes.
the red hat too, sideways as well, looks really early 90s. All right, Will,
Right.
this next question's for you.
All right, what do we got?
I'm going to show you part of a cover. You have to tell me what PS3 game this cover's from.
Seen it. SCENE it. Seen it. That game. Is that
Wasn't seen it. I will hand this one over to Lee for the steal.
Oh wow. Yeah, there's another. I don't know if it's lights, camera, action. If that's seen it, or if I'm just thinking of the tagline that went with it. I feel like there is another movie type game. You got me on the PS3 now, I think, because of your answer, but man, look at that, eh? Is that Tom Cruise? Who cares?
That's Tom Cruise.
I'll give you 5 more seconds, Lee.
I've seen that cover somewhere before. This is a PlayStation show, right? It has to be a PlayStation.
The PS3 game.
Yeah, but we just had a Nintendo freaking question.
Oh man! If it's not that one, that was a good guess. Well, I don't know if I don't know.
I have to time it. So we were looking for You Star 2 in the movie.
What a bunch of crap.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but I'm a North American guy. Like, they had that cover, or was it slightly different?
No, I think that was a
I'm not too sure. I know
NTSC
the Power
cover.
cover had that one, but maybe you guys got a different one over there.
Yeah.
All
All right, guys,
let's-
moving on to the final round. Lee has the lead of 1. Will is at 0.5. Anyone can still win this. All right, Lee, your next question. Say the game title looking to the screenshot.
That's Soul Blade.
Correct. I would have taken either Soul Edge or Soul Blade.
Damn it. That was too easy. I
All
can't
All right,
win.
well, your final question.
Being a Namco guy, too.
Monster Hunter Freedom 2 was an exclusive title for what console?
PSP.
Correct.
All right.
Congratulations, guys. However, Lee takes the win on his first time on the show with a score of 2 to 1.5. Congratulations. Lee.
Congratulations. Good
Yeah.
job, Lee. Yeah.
I mean, do you give Will the harder questions on purpose to make it easier for the contestants to win? I don't.
Again, it's all random. All the questions are done in order.
No,
And
Lee,
I
you're,
have
no,
choice-
actually, no,
you
no.
chose to
Lee,
go first. So,
Lee has it. Lee has it right. Yeah.
and once again, thanks for playing Figsy's quiz, guys.
Good job, Figs. Or Lee.
I didn't feel like I earned that, but
No, dude.
Anyway, it was
that was
still
a
fun.
tight
I
game.
think that was the lowest scoring quiz I've ever had. You still snuck through a win, so a win's a win.
Oh,
Are you not
man.
entertained? Are you not entertained?
Gladiator.
That was good. Anyway, hey, I had a couple questions for you. About Lee, as far as collecting, at what rate are you still bringing in games? Are you at 1 game a week, 2 games a week?
I definitely. Now, I don't know if I want to admit this on the show.
You're gonna
It
have to
does
admit it.
vary from week to week. If you were to average it out over the course of a month, maybe 30 games across all the consoles.
So
I don't know
one a
if
day?
that's high.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's one-
sometimes I buy a lot, like lots. Other times I'm getting single games just because they're harder to find. So something around there.
So you're averaging 1 new game a day. So it's 365 games a year.
Oh, easy. That's a conservative estimate because I know people that watch this show. But
Oh man, I'm lucky if I bring in 1 or 2 games a week. 2 games a week, three games a week's high for me.
I mean, there's the quality quantity argument. I am filling in holes in the collection, going for the full set. So anything I can find cheap that I'm missing, I'm grabbing. So sometimes there's long periods, dry periods between things being up there, and it's funny. Like there's hardly any PS2 or PS1, for example, locally, and then when there is, it's usually stuff I have already. It's funny what used to be the commonest of the common stuff people couldn't give away. Now I can't even find it to fill in the holes.
So
seeing that one to me, but
so what is mostly so? Would you say let's just PS2 for example? Do you have you have all the heavy hitters now? You're just looking for those little
those are the ones I
oddballs?
tried to. Sorry, I cut you off there.
You're just looking for little oddballs, like on for example PS2. Is it all that's left? Is a little oddball, hard to find title?
So probably something you guys may have talked about in the past or not. PS2 has the highest, as far as PlayStation goes, and we know the size of the library used to be like a record, but it has the most amount of sports filler. So actually, like if you go for all the heavies and the non-sports games, that's almost half the library, and then you've got almost the other half is almost entirely sports or racing games.
1,000 games.
Yeah. So you've got, I would say, between 800 and 900. As sad as it sounds, it depends. If you want to call those racing games and the flight games and like where you're in a craft. Plus the sports,
like
that's
100
everything
of
else.
them, so.
That's everything.
And where are you primarily hunting? What's your happy hunting ground? I mean, is it more local? Is it eBay? Are you hitting the garage sales?
Yeah,
are you going to flea markets?
I think most people are in the same boat as me. I mean, it's the age-old question, right? time becomes a bit of an issue. Like, do I have time to go out and hunt consistently? I don't really. And the types of things that I'm looking for aren't conventionally available locally anyway. They never were. And if they were, it's cutthroat. Like, there's a few stores that have a monopoly over the city, and they buy up anything good pretty fast. So I mean, I check early and late at night, and hopefully I'll get to something maybe first or throw in an offer. Sometimes you get people to commit to stuff, like giving them a deposit and stuff like that. So my methods have changed a little bit to sort of compete but it's hard, right? Like, I just don't have a bunch of money to buy 90% filler to get those 2 games that I want. And now I've got to sit on this stuff, or I'm in the same boat as the seller was. But there is demand for that stuff. So, I mean, usually I can make my money back. It's just, do I have the space? Do I have the time to keep that stuff?
The time, because like that's free when you do it like that. It's just might take a month. It might take 3 months.
And I honestly don't. You see collections like this, you think people have money and endless resources, but really I don't. This was acquired over a long period of time, lots of trades and flips, and I try to keep good quality stuff. Like, I am that guy that would keep things that have value, not to cash out, but to make a nice trade with a rare item to help somebody else out. I've done my research kind of, I think, so I know what will be sought after in the future or what other collectors need. I try to find stuff for them or pass the deals on to them. People remember that, and then you get it back in other ways at a later date. So I found having eyes everywhere is probably one of the best ways to hunt, because there's only so many sites you can have saved searches on or come back to and have your regular cycle of things that you look for. So you definitely got to work with other people and try to be honest and transparent. As cliche as that sounds, people have long memories. I kind of talked about that earlier, like just getting involved in nonsense online. Like, I don't really have time for that. I'm too focused on my goals, right? So yeah, things take time, but I've learned a lot of different ways and used the technology. And I don't have much time to drive around. If I do drive around, it's when I'm on my way to work or whatever, like kind of planning it into my day. Yeah.
Lee, this would be a good segue into something else I wanted to talk about. You run a Facebook group.
I do.
Tell us about your Facebook group.
Yeah, so I guess how that started was because over the years, working towards these full sets, and you find that there's both variants and regional variations, and you're sort of like trying to define a full set, right? You're like, well, what's a full North American or ESRB set, as Will likes to say? There is a lot of variation and differences between not a lot, but there's enough that it's kind of like, well, is this a unique title? Does it have more content on disc as an alternate cover? How am I going to get that without paying the duty fees and traveling to the States? And you're paying holding fees if you have a box down there. For me, it's like probably a 4-hour round trip. It was worse. I haven't actually been during COVID because it's costing more. And yeah, that's another story. But I have stuff sitting down there, like 3 years worth of stuff that I have to go pick up. It's going to make for a pretty cool video, probably.
So you got a liaison down there just sitting on your shit for you?
Yeah, so I pay a company that down there a holding fee for each item, but it's only $5 an item, regardless of the size or the amount or the weight. So especially for bundles, if I get a good deal on a bundle of something on eBay and it's free shipping or cheap within the continental United States, I get it sent there, and then it sounds cheaper, but they actually up the amount of fees you pay coming into the province and the duty. I pay 10% to the Ontario government, and I have to claim it on my taxes because I have to pay the Quebec government where I live 10% on any electronics, even though it's not for like I'm not selling the items, it's for personal use. I still have to pay. So and then there ends up being an extra $20 sort of tariffs, 20% more added to the cost. So if you really break down the math, like for the time and energy to go one shot and pick up a bunch of stuff, maybe it's worth it, to not have to like worry about stuff getting damaged in the mail, or to have that nice payoff at the end if you like delayed gratification. But it's actually got to the point where it's so expensive that any little gains are almost not worth it. So that leads to my other question of why I created this group in Canada, because it is costly and you need to know people down there to find stuff. And I've sort of resorted to that route now, to getting friends, other collectors. I share information with them, deals, send them stuff. They'll hold stuff for me. And then when they get to a certain amount, you sort of want to keep it below a certain weight. But to send stuff even from the United States to Canada can be pricey. So you sort of like, oh, okay, we'll declare this as a gift under $50 so you don't get hit with that extra arbitrary tax that they put on things that are heavier or that have a certain, and they open packages sometimes. So once you sort of learn how to play that game and you have somebody over there that knows what to say and what to insure it at, it can actually work pretty good. And you often exchange items with those people at the same time. You send them their stuff, they send you yours. So that led me to the PS1 Collectors of America, right? Because I'm talking to those people about what we have up here. And I thought, why isn't there like a nationwide PlayStation group for Canadians to make it easier to ship across Canada and to exchange with the States? So I talked to Chris Schramm a little bit at the beginning. I'm like, I kind of like the model that you guys have. I want to do something similar here. Not necessarily affiliated with them, but it's sort of like whatever practices they use that work there. Say, well, I could sort of be your sister group or whatever up here. And I was hoping it would grow. I haven't spent a lot of time like advertising or trying to connect with other Canadians.
What's the title? What's the name of the group?
It is the PS1 Collectors of Canada. So if you type that in Facebook, you'll find the group. I have been trying, at least from the beginning, I was trying to limit it to just people in Canada because I wanted to grow the group here and sort of get good trade relations and then screen people. So I would look at their address to see if they were in Canada. I'm like, okay, you're a PlayStation collector of Canada. You can join. And I have people from like India that weren't reading the stuff and they want to join. And I'm like, it's kind of to make trade across the border easier.
It fits the purpose, right?
If people from the States wanted to join, as long as they were say, oh, I'm willing to work with Canadian collectors to exchange stuff, then that was good enough. So I have a few.
I want to see a post that's games for sale, only shipping to the 48 states.
I have a group called PlayStation Ain't Dead, Buy Sell Trade. It used to be my baby, but now it's mostly ignored. But anybody who get and it's just for Canada and the U.S. And if somebody from overseas or anywhere they're trying to get in, I ban them immediately with extreme prejudice. Don't feel bad about it. Just no, you can't come in. But I got maple syrup is really expensive here, and I got a smuggling route across Lake Ontario. So if you need my guy, he'll do that swim for you.
Hey guys, on this podcast, we've got a few different segments, and one of those segments is Meme Time with Will. So
shit! Am I up?
Going.
Wait.
Headphone warning.
I can't get enough of that, man. I love that.
The laugh at the end. What a sadist.
All right, so what's on deck, Joe? What do we got? What's up first? Joe? Oh, there we go. Oh, not enough cash, stranger.
Yeah.
Yes. Resident Evil 4 Collector's Edition. Oh man, this thing was scalped so heavily on day one. And that is a legitimate ad from eBay. So
you don't even have to update the price on that. They're still going ridiculous.
Yeah. Hats off to the eBay scalpers. Yeah, they make the world
That's
go around.
Probably not going to drop too much. Like the game's critically acclaimed. Doesn't seem like they made too many of those.
You know what happened with GameStop, right?
They canceled everyone's.
Canceled. Everybody had a pre-order set in. They came in. They said, "No, we're not doing that anymore."
Yeah. Especially when like if you're in as deep as some of these Resident Evil diehards are, like if you've got all the other collector's editions, and now that one's kind of like gives me the Jack vibes, like the limited run, the first Jack collector's edition. Like people people that collect those want all of them, but that one's over $1,000 because I guess it was limited and they never had more in their store or for whatever reason. So I feel like this one, if you're that one guy or a few people that have all the other huge RE boxes, and now you get told there's not any more of these coming.
Yeah. Resident Evil collectors are just as bad as Star Wars and Trekkies. Nothing against those guys.
Right out your rants and said,
"Oh man, you poor bastard." Hats off to you, man. All right, what's next on that? What do we got next, Joe? Oh yes, the Super. This is an old meme, but the Super Mario Bros. Movie, 55% tomato meter. The critics hated it, but after I made the meme, it seems that the audience score is like 91%. I don't get it. Whatever. Mario.
I almost got into a fight now. I haven't seen the movie, but my in-laws are like, I really liked the Sonic movie. It was better than the Mario movie. My son went to see the Mario movie, and
the new one.
With his uncle, and he said he enjoyed it for what it was, but he said it wasn't that great. And I'm like, well, what are you basing that on? Like, you never really played the games growing up, but in his opinion, he agreed with his uncle that the Sonic movie was better. He might have been influencing him, though. I don't know. All
right, what's next? What do we got next? Oh, yes, the Metal Slug. If you played Metal Slug,
yeah,
you get it. If you know, you know. That's a visual right there. What else we got on deck for us, Joe? My Pokemon attacks you with Stun Seed in reverse. In reverse, what happened? You get hit with these nuts. It's super effective. I love this. I think you can never lose the D's nuts meme. All right, what else we got? Don't leave your birth control out. And it's a bunch of Switch games. Fuck off, Dad.
Yeah, well, it's also that old trope that super nerds are not going to get any action. Right?
Here I am 4 kids later. Oh yes, this is a big Ricky Andre spills coffee on video game. This is a play on the hidden gem, on the Metal Jesus hidden gem. Buys game, hidden gem. Well, spills coffee on video game variant. Anyway, what else we got?
Young Ricky Andre.
This happened to me. These are my screenshots. Public service announcement: don't drink in eBay. Thank you. So I purchased Tenchu, Wrath of Heaven. I'm so sorry, but can you please cancel this order? I'm embarrassed to say, but I've been drinking and eBaying. I was looking for Tenchu Fatal Shadows, and this popped up, and I jumped on it because of the price, but I already own it. If you could please cancel the purchase, I would be very grateful. Thank you. And thank goodness the seller was kind enough to cancel it. So no harm, no foul.
That's right. You got to own your shit, right? Well,
if the guy hadn't canceled it, I would have took it, because it's on me. It's on me. But I discovered my mistake within like 15 minutes, and I can't. And thankfully, he wasn't a dick about it. But,
I mean, if you got a good deal on it, I'm that guy that would almost be like, you know what, I made a stupid mistake.
I'll just keep it.
Whatever. I'll keep the Tenchu and I'll just trade it for something else. It's not worth the hassle to send back unless it's a decent chunk.
As you all know, the Wii U eShop recently got closed, and the 3DS eShop recently got closed. And guess who's on deck? The PS3 store is next, and so is the Vita store for that matter. So hoard them while you can, guys, because that shit's gonna shoot up in price.
Yeah. You guys want to see? I think some other collectors have shown different digital titles, but I'll show you one that you've probably seen and heard of it in PlayStation lore. I'll be right back.
All right.
The PS5 version, the HBO version, and the most powerful PC version. What do you got there?
Let's see if I can back the camera up a little bit.
Can we get a full screen on Lee there?
So these are the digital only titles that appeared. Let's see where I moved the camera there.
Oh, the digitalis.
Yeah, there you are. I don't know if the camera's focused. I'll get out of the way, but
no. I can see it.
Right. So this guy here, I've helped a few other collectors find these using my connections in Latin America. If But
I got scammed out of $300.
yes,
on
yeah,
that
yeah.
one.
I know it came up on one of the other shows. I was trying to help you and some other people get a copy, and I don't know where these people come from, but they must have been in some of the groups. And oh yeah, I have a copy of that. I'll just make a scan and rip some people off. I don't know who. And you looked at it, right? You said it was obvious after
Yeah,
looking at it
it's
closely,
really
but the colors were pretty spot on. Like without having the side by side comparison with my real one, nobody would have. I mean, unless they knew to. It was just the cutting, right? The cutting that was kind of
Well,
glaring.
it had a few things. It had a PAL PlayStation strip for one, and they were all Y sealed. I also own Dead Nation and Hadouken, so I was able to
Yeah.
compare and see that the color didn't match those two, where obviously yours were all the same color.
Yeah, so I'll just put that back up there. I just like the fact that these guys are keeping the subset together.
I don't know if you've seen Lee, but Neville posted in the PS3 collectors a couple of digital only PS3 games from France this week. I'd never actually seen them before. I'll grab a photo for everyone.
Yeah, that's cool.
1 second here.
I like that they had cases for them. I mean, all that stuff about the store pulling certain titles definitely, and the obscurity and rarity, and the fact that people probably threw them out after they used the vouchers. So not a lot of them survived. And yeah, it's just pretty neat to actually have a case with ESRB art for a game that never got released up here.
So Nabil posted this in the PS3 collectors group this week. So the bottom 3 titles are all digital only games. We've got the season pass for it looks like the Batman Telltale series.
Right.
Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zero is on the end with a blue spine, but contrast in the middle.
Never heard of that.
Never even heard of that having a physical copy. So that's really big news to me.
And this funny thing about that Terraria you brought out, Ricky Andre bought that off of me, and I had found a loose disc and I'd stuck the loose disc in there, and so and I forgot to take it out, and I shipped it off to him. Took that guy 8 months to send that thing back. Fucking Ricky Andre, if you're listening.
That's a funny one. So this collector's edition was $19 posted from Canada at one point. Like I've got the Canadian version.
Yeah,
they must have printed too many of them, and they couldn't sell.
I'm not sure what's going on with the sticker on that the bottom left, but that doesn't look like an ESRB unless it's covered.
They have to slap those on.
Oh yeah,
legally sell them.
It's a sticker over the front.
Yeah, I think they do that in Latin America too when they have certain titles here that don't conform to their rating standards. Yeah, they cover them.
There's a number on the back. What's like 2,500 of those are out there? Biggs? You got there's a number on the back.
Yeah, I've got that.
This is number 14,000. So
yeah, there's only
25,000. Excuse me.
Yeah, I've got the Canadian and US variations.
There we go. All right, man. Sorry.
So that game also had a single release. So if you get that box collector's edition, it has the little card inside it with the sort of Minecraft looking hammer and the USB stick and the little plastic download card. And if you want the actual disc copy, it was sold like individually with a different cover.
Like I said,
I went for the PAL version, of course.
I had a loose copy. I'm sorry, I had to pee really bad. I couldn't hold it anymore. What else? Do you got any memes left there, Joe? Dad, why is my sister named Rose? Because your mother loves roses. Thanks, Dad. No problem, Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 3. I don't know, I thought it was funny.
That meme's relevant today with the new game possibly coming out.
That meme did really well on the PlayStation 2 Ain't Dead group. They loved it in there. Any more? Oh, yes. I'm going to buy a VR headset for gaming, right? For gaming, right? No, y'all, all you creeps are jerking off with that thing. We know.
So I know you guys are the ones hosting the show, but I'm just on that standard screen where I don't necessarily want to see what people are typing, especially if it like gives away stuff. But it's nice to interact with people that are on the chats. If it's on YouTube, I usually watch. When I watch it on YouTube. So it's kind of funny seeing what people are thinking and saying behind the scenes.
Yeah, you get to see the live chat as well, which is really cool.
We will be dedicating an entire show to chat. It's coming up. It's going to be just me and Vigsy and chat. So,
guys, it's actually show number 50 in 3 weeks' time. We're going to have a special 4-hour episode. We're going to invite you guys. If you just want to come on during the show, then we can get this arranged.
You never told me about 4 hours. What the fuck are you talking about?
That's a lot of bathroom breaks. Holy cow.
And we're going to have a bunch of regulars come back on the show who have been on already. It should be heaps of fun. So that will be
nice.
A couple of weeks' time.
All right, one more. Italian man being forced to watch Chris Pratt voice Mario without an Italian accent. I think that's.
I don't know if I want to watch the movie because of that reason. It just makes it weird to me, right?
I'm a gamer, PC or console, mobile. God damn it. Then we Xbox and PlayStation. It's beat them up. All right. Oh, the eShop is dead. Yeah, 3DS hacks. Oh, God.
That's so true, but.
Oh, yeah, and someone got Doom running on a vape. So there you go.
Good.
Doom can run on anything. I'd like to play that, to be honest. Every documentary about serial killers, he was alone. He had no friends. He had no lover. He spent all his time alone at home. And gamers.
Right.
Oh, shit. Buying a game on release day. Buying a game 1 year later with all the DLC included. Yeah, that's PS3. That's PS3 video games right there in a nutshell. I think you're. Oh, yes, and that was the end, ladies and gentlemen. That's been this week's installment of Meme Time. Thank you for tuning in.
I'm glad you saw that one early. Guys, we have got a few more things to talk about, including a very special announcement that Lee's actually going to make, but we will save that for towards the end. Firstly, I do have some news, and it is PlayStation Collecting podcast news.
There's the. Do we have?
So this news actually comes from the PlayStation 3 Collectors Group, and it's from the community. And I wanted to give a special congratulations to Matthias from Poland. Matthias has completed the PlayStation 3 PAL set, and it's a massive accomplishment, and I believe it deserves some recognition.
Oh, man, look at that wall.
Yeah, so congratulations, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
I believe it's 1,159 games for the PAL set, so it is a very, very big accomplishment.
And
as we know, most people who go for full sets don't complete them, so I believe recognition is deserved when someone completes a full set.
And he's still going for the Buzz games, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still gonna try to do the Buzz and Sing Show games.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
I'm just gonna go grab a sweater out of the machine there. Oh my god, it's cold down here.
You're right.
3 days without heat in my house.
Canada. It's such a foreign place. I do have a little piece of news. There seems that I've made a couple DK oldies memes over the past couple of weeks. Everybody's dunking on them. And it seems that Treehouse Law, LLP, is put together a class action lawsuit against these guys. So those guys, they got to come into them. I learned this after joining the Facebook group, Victims of DK Oldies. Yeah, this is a real group, Victims of DK Oldies. So if you are a victim of DK Oldies, join the group, join the class action lawsuit, and don't let these bastards get away with it. But that's the news.
And let's segue this into our final segment, which is, of course, homework.
Homework.
Keeping the community safe, objectively reporting.
You said I was going to get sued at the beginning of the program, so I don't want to hear it, Lee. Just be careful. Just be careful. Allegedly, everything's allegedly. So there we go. I heard
through the grapevine.
Word on the street is, but I don't know for sure. Okay, so this week's homework was So why don't you share with us a few of your favorite peripherals?
All right.
Did you you got a stack for us, Lee? You
Yeah,
got something
I was
spice up?
saying I was out of the house when I got sent the homework, so I haven't been home, but I do have things kind of organized. So I can't really bring the device, but
Dude, you just gotta reach to the left, right, or up in the air, and you'll hit a freaking peripheral. Oh man, look at! I love watching you walk away, Lee. Oh my god, he's so thick.
Well, that's just what we call pillow talk, baby.
Reach lower, yeah, on that bottom shelf. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. this is taking a wrong turn.
ASMR version of the podcast.
Hopefully,
If you want to continue watching this section, go over to Will's OnlyFans.
It's not called OnlyFans. It's called Patreon.
this isn't much of a peripheral, but I kind of wish they had stuck with the long handle original dual analog.
I was gonna say that thing looks odd.
It's good. Yeah, I think Figsy showed it on the show before in one of his quiz questions. People that have used this, it's got a different feel and different weight to it. It's before they added the rumble motors in, and they had longer handles. And then for whatever reason, when they added the rumble, they shortened and bulked up the controller a little bit. But if you have a little bit bigger hands and the concave, like your thumb kind of fits in there nice. They brought this back a little bit with the PS4 controller, but it's not as deep as these. You can actually kind of like fit the round part of your thumb in there.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's
Can you get some suction action on that?
I don't know about that.
Well, yeah. Lick your thumb.
Let's see. You guys saw the I was going to show the gimmick controller, but the question with the Onimusha controller kind of took that one out. So
yeah, that Onimusha controller is badass.
My new chainsaw and hockey mask.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's seen that episode with the Terror Thompsons or whatever, the Simpsons trying to escape from Sideshow Bob.
I used to do Omegle, and I would do Omegle with the chainsaw controller.
Yeah. So I can't speak for. I mean, these gimmicky controllers aren't not practical to play the games by any means, but it's kind of fun to be in character, right? I've used this as a Halloween prop with my Doom helmet and scared children.
It's a lovely shelf piece. I mean, if you're a PS2 controller or a PS2 collection, you're serious about it. That's just a must-have. That thing's lovely.
I have to say, if I was gonna pick best peripherals, I'm gonna have to go with the Namco stuff. So I've got just about every major controller. So like, here's the Ace Combat set for PS2. Just the build quality of this is amazing.
I was talking about because I was playing Ace Combat 7 on PS4 earlier today, and we are talking about that, and I would love one. I don't know if they make them for PS4, but yeah, that thing's great. I'm sure they do. And that's which console? Which game is that for?
That's for Ace Combat 5 Unsung War, I believe. I've got the box here. I'll show you what it came in.
You ever played with a flight stick, Figsy?
I have with PC titles, but I'm not a big fan of using flight sticks myself. I'm not a really big fan of peripheral controllers, which you're about to hear.
Well, you better bring the fire.
I don't want to spoil the surprise, but when I get to the surprise announcement, all of these boxes, all this history,
and dig it.
In terms of showing things off, sharing with the community. You can watch a lot of individual videos and talk to different people. You make your own lists. I'm trying to allude to it without spoiling the surprise, but
we'll get into it soon.
It's coming. It's coming.
Don't go anywhere, guys. Huge news coming soon. World exclusive on the PlayStation Collective podcast.
What else can I show? I I got the analog joystick up there. Well, I wonder if I can point the somewhere up top there. Got a box.
Oh, that peripheral looks like a weight bench. That's fucking rad.
Yeah. No, that weight bench is in the foreground, eh? Never any other place to put it.
Oh yeah, oh that one's nice. PS1.
Yeah. Official Sony analog.
Was that made by
Voice-
ASCII?
There is stuff made by I don't know how to pronounce that.
ASCII. That's how I do it.
Not this one, but they have the fishing controllers for PS1.
Fight stick.
I'll show you one of those.
I had the ASCII fight stick.
Yeah.
It was
This
really
is the
clicky.
this is the H-Tech one actually that came with Bass Landing. You can't really get a good view of the
Is
controller
that sealed?
inside the box. Is it sealed? I didn't open it, so probably is.
I wonder if that's like the PS3 fishing game. Once you actually attach the repeller fishing controller, you can never detach it, so you can never put it back in the box.
No, don't
Well, no,
believe they're not quite like that. There's no
Take note, if you own that, don't try it once because you'll never get rid of it.
These are kind of like so PS1 and PS2. I mean, you've seen people showing off collections with the dance pads. A lot of games had their own themed dance pads, so the functionality of the games don't really change. It's just the layout, somewhat of the buttons and the.
I've never seen a Jungle Book. Damn.
Yeah. These are they're getting harder to find. I mean, there's a lot of these. When you break it down, there's a lot of them that either didn't survive or weren't really sought after, and now they're worth a ton of money, and there's none of them left.
The Power Region got a lot of CD cases that came with PS1 games. I think there's 6 or 7 of those. They're really nice. They look that size as well. They're awesome.
Joe Rad would like you to dance right now.
I'll do a trick for you guys.
Oh. Feats of physical prowess on the PlayStation Collectors podcast.
There you go.
Oh. Dude, that's getting clipped, and we're using it as a promo. That's fucking gold.
Gymnastics on the show. What do you guys?
I actually did do a little bit of stunt work.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. You're thinking about hitting
my back, so I've got a claim going on at work. So don't. I was probably if I look too able-bodied, it's not really going to help. But
they'll use that clip in the court case.
Yeah.
My neck,
actually, my strength is actually still there. The thing with the back is I work with high-risk kids in I have 3 jobs. I work as a youth counselor, and I work with kids that have mental health and crisis issues. So they're having their needs assessed and living in a special group home with special funding. And we have to go hands-on with the kids to sort of like bring them down, to get them calm.
Yeah.
And to help them through these crises. And it's just like everyday things, but they can't handle a lot. So not to get too much into that, but that job was like a part of my identity. And I lost my ability to do that. And along with it, some income. And I was off work for a while I was getting tests done and trying to get prove the extent of my injury, because I had to restrain one of these kids alone, and we were supposed to have extra staff to help, and they weren't available. Not to get into the logistics of it, but it didn't end well for me. At the end, I ended up going down a flight of stairs and having a kid land on top of me and fractured a vertebrae in my lower back. So I was still trying to go to work the next day, but I had a pretty rough go this summer. I was trying to kind of just hope it would go away, keeping busy. And I had another bout with kidney stones this summer.
Oh man!
Ended up in the hospital with like a blocked passageway, and that hasn't gone well for me in the past. I've needed emergency surgeries and almost died, so I knew it was pretty serious. And right before I went into surgery this time, when they did an ultrasound to try to see where the stone was blocking, and they saw that I had a fractured disc in my back from 3 weeks earlier. that had gone unaddressed. So
that is one big pile of shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
well,
that's anyway. That's been part of my journey and my challenge. It's brought me to this surprise announcement. Is trying to find a way to keep busy and I guess affirm my identity and not be too bored. It's funny how sometimes like some of the I guess darkest times or the worst experiences really challenge you to think about your purpose. Like a lot of my identity was attached to that job and just helping kids through some of the stuff that I could relate to, relate to, or just skills that I had acquired because I had gone through similar stuff. So that job was like an important part of me, and I don't know if I'm going to end up going back there because the risks are too high. So I've been in physio for like a lot of months to try to get better and build up my strength in my back and reduce pain. And I've actually come pretty far with that. But if you're in a restraint with a kid, it's pretty frequent there. So the chance of re-injury is high. So now I'm trying to think, I'm getting up there in age, and if I get injured and I can't.
You're only 41, man. You're a spring chicken, Lee, but hats off to you. All you do, man. Hope speedy recovery.
Yeah, one door closes, maybe another opens. Like I'm trying to. Fixie was telling me how his business started up, and I guess it's been kind of a natural progression. But obviously, you've thought about this for a while, and it wasn't easy to jump into it full force. There was a transition.
Yeah, it was a
period.
3 or 4 year thing, really, before I went full time. It wasn't just, hey, I'm going to do this full time. Oh, let's do it tomorrow. Yeah. No, it was all right, let's build the store to a point where I was making more than my wage before I actually left my job.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, I don't want to take on anything that's not self-sustaining, but like these passion projects and hobby things that you think like, oh, this is fun. I don't know if I can make a career or a go out of this. Like maybe you sort of have that idea in the back of your mind, like maybe I can do more of this or do it full time. But like those things are kind of a grind, right? And sometimes it's hard to get them off the ground. So I had sort of like my own plans. For a lot of years, I was very guarded. Like I had with collecting, right? It's like I know, I don't want to put things on the map that other people are gonna scalp or try to extort me, and I don't really trust people, right? Because I got burned a lot of times, and live and learn, right? So I'm like kind of like a trauma victim, right? Kind of like those kids. It's like, well, I learned some hard lessons collecting. So how's that going to affect me moving forward? Like, what do I want to do with that? So I think that's maybe a way to tie into this announcement that I'm about to make. But
right before you do that, we'll get me and Will's part of the homework in.
Sure.
So get that out of the road. So, Will, what's your peripheral that you chose for this week's homework?
I brought a few on. First one, it's my favorite PS4 4 controller, the Berry Blue. It's just pretty. Is it fake? Is it real? How can I tell the difference? Will every day, every time, a million posts. How is this fake? Is this real? I don't know. I really don't know. I just take my best guess. This one says Berry Blue on the bottom somewhere. Yeah, there it is. So that's how I know that's real. Berry Blue. Oh, and also if the box, if it's got this swirl that goes like this, you see it? You see how it goes like that? Yeah, that's real. If it doesn't, it's a fake piece of shit. So, Berry Blue controller, one of my favorites. I think it's pretty.
Yeah, that's a cool color for sure.
Lee, you're a big fighting game guy. You'll appreciate this. Picked this one up a while back. This is what is this?
Fighter 5?
Oh, 4.
4, yeah.
Street Fighter 4. This is a Mad Catz controller. This one, however, has been upgraded with a. This one has a Sanwa stick, and listen to the clickiness. Oh my god, ASMR for fighters. And then I love my fighting sticks. This is I think I picked this one for like $25. It was and it was already modded when I got it. So with the stick and the buttons, fresh stick and buttons. Love this thing. Well, let me get a good shot in there.
Ooh, shiny.
It works. This is a PS3 stick, but it does work on a few PS4 games that do provide legacy support. So there's
It'll
that.
work on PC as well, right?
Yeah, from what I understand, but I don't fuck around with all that shit. But yeah,
Yeah.
PS Mad Catz, PS4, Street Fighter 4 fight stick.
Yeah, compatibility is a bit of a thing. Some of these controllers are made specifically to function well with certain games. Depends on the layout of the buttons. And I found PS3 a little bit spotty. Like sometimes they'd work for certain games, and then other games they wouldn't work when I plugged them in, and they didn't have the drivers. I was like, what the heck? Like we're in the USB era. Like why isn't the store making these drivers work with every game? I kind of got turned off a little bit, spending a lot of money for sticks that didn't work properly.
Fight sticks, it's a whole. I mean, but fight sticks alone, it's a whole other animal. I mean, I belong to groups just dedicated to fight sticks, so there's that. I saw this when you were showing. I saw this when you were showing off your doing the room tour, but yeah, this is the PS Move shooty gunny thingy.
Yes.
I don't know what the official. I've never found a game that uses this thing. But no, I
think
love
it's Killzone 3. I think is what it was built for, that specific like longer gun, and it works with one of the Cabela's actually have their own version of it, but I think it works with the Cabela games as well. Yeah,
I don't like that name, Sharpshooter Joe. I get that
Navigation controller.
This is shooty killy thingy. I play it with this game, and I play it with Raising Storm. Yeah, and this thing, it's rad. I love it. Joe recently got a sniper one, which I'm jealous of because it's all black. His will get him killed in a dark alley with the cop. But no, yeah, this will get you. You can get by with this thing. You can run down the street and go pew 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 with your friends and not get killed. So there you go. Welcome to America.
You could run down the street with Joe's one in Australia and not get killed.
I'm just gonna hold this thing for the rest of the show. So there you go.
So you can tell who the American is.
I really I thought about that question.
One of us is American. Can you guess who? No, but I think this thing's rad. I love it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Well, I thought to myself, I don't use any peripherals. Like I've got fighting sticks and I've got controllers. I don't really use anything. However, there is one thing I use. I guess it's going to be a little bit lame, but I can't play shooting games without one of these things on my controller. So
what is
I play
that?
shooting games. I like to play with high sensitivity. So if you have one of these things on the controller, you can control like your recoil and you can spray and stuff better. So 2,000 hours of PUBG, I couldn't play it without this thing. That's what I picked for my peripheral for homework.
Yeah. You know what that made me think of? I'll just get something random. Maybe Joe Rad's seen this one before.
What are those called, Figsy? Dick tips?
I'm not entirely sure. They sell them at EB Games on the front counter. They're like
a buck.
Analog stick extensions, or
no.
I know they've thumb sticks. I don't know. I know they've got names for it.
Oh, yeah.
So who wants to skateboard with
I had that thing,
skateboard extension on their controller to make it more?
Oh, that is cool.
It's like a fingerboard, and it sits on top of both analog sticks.
Yeah.
And what is it? With Yanya Calaballista? Is that the name of the game?
That's the game.
That is cool.
And then so you got this.
I don't know if the camera focused there.
Yeah,
Too much reflection.
I found those. I found one of those when I went back to my girlfriend's hometown I found in Wichita, Kansas, complete in box. It had the stick, had the box, everything.
And I can't really speak.
That's an odd one.
I can't speak too intelligibly about it because it's still sealed. I haven't actually experienced it for myself, just vicariously through other people's videos.
Yeah, I played it. Yeah, but yeah, then again, picture a tech deck, a fingerboard. And
they were huge in the early 2000s.
And then you flip the tech deck over, and instead of wheels, you got these two little round things that just clip right on top of the analog sticks, and that's how you play the game.
Lee, right before we get to your announcement, I did have a little question for you. You sent me before the
I gotta
show
pee. Pardon me,
your
guys.
collection, and I had a glance over your collection for about half an hour or so, and one title actually shocked me that I didn't know existed, and I've been talking in communities about this game for a while. We weren't sure if it existed, and that was the Silent Hill double pack. Be able to shed some light on this one.
Yeah, so I consider myself a bit of an archivist, historian. So, like I said earlier, I try to find things that haven't been found and tell their story, get to the bottom of it. So back when I was, I promise I'll make this short, but back when I was trying to fill out my list for like a full set for PS2, I found on PS1 there was a few like Latin region variants, and I saw some alternate covers and stuff like that. I had a friend down there helping me try to get a few specific variants for PS1. And then I was like, man, I think I have a handle on what's down there. But they had some of like their own store exclusives and some of their own events. So as it turned out, someone that worked for Sony, a former employee, was tasked with creating a piece of memorabilia that was commissioned to honor the series Silent Hill 2 series music producer for a special event that was held in Latin America. So like he was explaining this to my friend who found this on the marketplace in Mexico, because I wanted like to know where this came from because it looked authentic. And he was like, yes, there was an event, and I think it was only 4. You have to read my write-up on it, but 2 or 3 attendees got one. I'm not sure how it was decided who got them, if it was just given away or if there was like a prize draw. And the actual producer was given one of these, and like they shook his hand and everything, and said congratulations on reaching your sales numbers and the success of the series. So it was pretty cool, the story, when they were telling this to me. So I'm like, wow, that's pretty neat. So wasn't really intended to be available publicly, but for whatever reason, this guy worked for them and he just didn't care, and he had it and put it on the marketplace.
I think in your write-up that said that there was 5 of them given out at the event or something.
Yeah, you might want to read it again, because I went back like before. I'm like, do you still have that guy's contact? Because I want to like make sure I got the story straight. And he went back and read it to me, and the actual number of them had changed from what I remembered, so I just updated it. But
we got chat asking if we could see it.
Oh yeah, it's real. I probably shouldn't touch it with my greasy fingers, but let's just go grab it. The Silent Hill fans, eh?
I've only ever seen images of this. I've never actually seen it before.
There it is.
Oh wow!
So I guess if this is my claim to fame, then it's pretty cool. I've actually got.
Amazing, Clay.
I've got this. I've got a few other things that I'd like to show if we have time on the show, but look at how nice and crisp that is.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
and the covers are the same as the standard cover?
I actually talked to Finn about this, because like he's kind of a savage hunting this. I'm like, yeah, I know it doesn't really you don't need to have it to consider yourself having a full set or like one of everything. It's kind of like the Nintendo World Championships or some of those things.
Yeah, it's kind of like a custom.
I mean, he wants one, and like other people have asked me for scans of it, and I don't even want to go too close to the camera, because I'm like, if you take a picture of this and somebody has the software to like write it and remove the reflections, you're not only devaluing your collection, but it's just that annoying to have reproductions of something that's supposed to be one of a kind or special. And
same as that 3D collection I've got that's a download code only. I've had people ask me for scans of it. I'm not giving you a scan of $1,000 piece of paper.
So yeah, I kind of consider that blasphemy, especially since I'm so into original everything. Like I would replace things if they were missing slips or pieces of paper that came with them, just because I'm like, it's too hard to find it individually, and you just amass a bunch of incomplete things if you're trying to piece everything together. So it sort of ended up like I need to have everything complete because I'm going to be archiving everything. So
let's get into your announcement, Lee.
You let it peak.
Yeah, so I was trying to build up to it, and just in saying that, I had all these ideas that I wanted to start a website, an archiving site, that sort of took stuff from all over the internet and put it in one spot. And I was always a big fan of GameRave's site, which is the PS1 collector, Jason Dvorak, aka Danger Boy. And I'd sort of shared some of my passion and ideas with him over the years. So I was like, I like the way that you laid the site out, and you have the variants and they're sort of within the game pages, and it's to help sort of establish what's the first print. And I like that. And I'm like, they haven't really had a similar site for the other consoles that sort of follow that model, but also it's just like a huge task for one person to do, right? I'm not a web guy. I don't really do coding. I know I had a lot of lists and I was trying to figure out ways to organize data. And if you add a lot of pictures to websites, the cost can go up. I don't really want to get into all the logistics of it, but I was trying to find a way to auto-populate data and have maybe some of the images off the website, and then it would just pull from somewhere else. The same with all the numbers. But anyway, just standardizing all of that, putting it at one spot, trying to like make it fun and then share it with the community. I wanted to do that. And because I'm going heavy for PS4, I was going to start with like do my PS4 site and then show that. And then if everybody liked it, then I'm going to do this massive PlayStation project and get everyone on board. And we'll try to make a site that has everything in one spot. But since I couldn't find the time to get the PS4 stuff off the ground, I don't have a decent computer. But then I ended up injured, as I said earlier, and I was trying to find something to do with my passion and my hobby. And I thought I'd always wanted to show off the spine artwork for the games. I just think it's a thing that's not really well displayed. And a lot of websites with just like text, it's kind of boring to look at. And I like it kind of like Figsy said, it looks like you're looking through someone's collection when you look at the spines, and sort of help establish what is specific to the area or the region you collect. So this site that I put together in collaboration with other collectors of the different full sets for the different Sony consoles, basically use them as a resource to outsource or link to on this website, this master site. It's going to have every game for every Sony console. Basically, like I said, with the standardized lists for different niche aspects of the console. So if you want the light guns for that console, the games that are supported, you want just the 3D games for that console, you want to know whatever you want to know, it's going to be there for each console, sort of on the drop down list. You can find it in the same spot. And it's also going to add to my earlier conversation I had off air of like people in the community helping run these things through the gamut of testing to see like what's really supported, like what works. And just like any site, right? You're adding to it and you're maintaining it, but I'm trying to get the build out right so that it works. And you'll notice that it took me over a year to make my master PS4 list. So I'm started by just putting all of the spines I had in my collection, plus the placeholders for the ones that I haven't acquired yet. So to help me organize my own collection and also just sort of like, what am I going to focus on, right? You do a lot of research when you're trying to figure out what you're going to go for first. And like just the scope of the collection is huge, like the PS4 library. On the other list that I have that says there's 3,000, I think it's 3,003 unique PS4 titles now. And that's including the plan releases that haven't come out yet. So that took months to enter all those spines in.
I got to play that thing.
And if you look at the PS1 and PS2 pages, I've got, I'll get to that in a second, the committee stuff. I've got some of the like number and A and B, like the early parts of the alphabet the spines are entered. I just wanted to see if the templates would work. I've got all the spines in for the PS4, but I'm still working through. So one thing I'm finding as I'm entering them is the way that people organize their lists is pretty different depending on who you go to, just like the way people organize their collections differently. But for all intents and purposes, if you're trying to find a Disney title and there's 3 different Disney labels or variations of how it was written on the spine. So if you go to D for, let's say PS2 is a good example. Go PS2, go D, you'll see. Now, this is what it's something that would be consistent on each console. If you go down, yeah, that would work too if you go PS1, but you could check. If you scroll down, I think I did it there already. I find Disney. Oh, yeah, it takes a little while to load.
What are the boxes to the right of the games? Collect, unbox, and review. What's the plan for those in the future?
Exactly as it sounds. So the collect is possibly going to link to a marketplace functionality. I was cautioned by other collectors again, that's something that maybe it could work, maybe it wouldn't. Even if it was just like a list of trusted sellers, like I could just be the middleman. I don't have to necessarily be selling products, but I did want to make it easy for people to verify the veracity of things and check stuff. So like imagine a world where there's a marketplace for PlayStation. You have the actual item, a page that shows everything that's in there, and then literally right beside it, there's a buy option, and you go to a trusted seller and you could check their listing and see if it matches what was on the game page right beside it. Like you're not having to
really
jump
cool, actually.
You're not having to jump around, right? So I didn't want to add that as an afterthought, so I put it in. You know, it's not functioning right now, but if I ever get to that point where I have all of what's inside the games, then maybe a next logical step could be to add that.
I have a question for the website because a lot of our viewers are PAL region viewers. Is it going to be a North American specific site, or are you going to open up to PAL games in the future?
Yeah,
fuck pal.
Well, the people that I know and that I've collected with collect for the region that we're in, so it was both as much to help figure out and my journey of full setting as to help people in my region. But if the model works, I mean, and it's just a matter of passing it on to somebody in PAL and they want to have access and I don't know, replicate it somehow. That's something I could always look at the future. Like this is supposed to be a gift to the community, and having these other collectors that have done a lot of the work and have a lot of, you know, resources that I don't have is super helpful. It's going to get better as we get further into it, I think.
Yeah,
a few more questions, Lee. I think people were wondering, are you going to make this available for free?
Well, right now it's supposed to work publicly. There's like a safety certificate issue that I have to figure out. So anybody that tries to go on the site should just be able to click like that little box at the bottom and say,
I will leave a link in the
ignore, and then you can check it out for yourself. So it's kind of like the bare bones are there. And there's a blurb about my vision for the future on the about page. It might take a while to get there for sure to enter everything. I'm putting a lot of stuff in every day. Like I want to get the placeholders in. So once all that stuff is entered for PS1 and PS2, I've still got the PS3 to do. But the PS1 and PS3 pages should link to Game Rave, and the PS3 one would link to Ricky Andre's PlayStation 3 data center, like right from the get-go. So those two parts of the library would be done. In theory, I think a few of their pages are down or incomplete as well, but they're working toward filling them in and fixing pages that are broken for whatever reason. So that's another good thing is we can kind of help each other. I'm like, hey, that page isn't working
anymore. It's a good community when it's like that. Hey, there might be a mistake there and you pointed it out, or a new game gets discovered and you're both adding it to the website.
So yeah, this is definitely a collaborative effort. Can you name a couple of the other dickheads who are helping you out?
Yeah, so you never quite made it down to the Disney thing, but that's okay. Yeah, so I pinned a couple of the names. These are people that I've talked to that said they would help out, and I left some empty spots just there. Like if people in the community want to say like, hey, I can help with this, that, or the other thing, like I'm all ears. I have an email on the about part of the webpage that you can email with here's how I could help, or here's what I'd like to see on the web page, and I'll consider where I can fit it in, right? So it's kind of like what are sort of the best things that collectors would be looking for, and what also, like, there's a legacy aspect of the site that I haven't really talked about, but with innovation and things changing, you have different series, you have different controllers, different support being added each generation. So I kind of wanted to like show how things change over time and sort of have different segments devoted to that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's kind of a love letter to Sony and to the fans, but just shed some light on different things that people haven't really done a deep dive into.
It's like a greatest hits list of our show's guests.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, definitely had a lot of contact with some of those guys over the years.
And I'm sure there'll be more people coming on in the future who you might even know today, but you'll meet later on that'll be able to help towards this project as well.
Yeah, it's actually made it more fun. Like when I was trying to do it solo, like you kind of feeling the burnout, right? You're like, man, I'm gonna create this huge PS4 site, and then I'm like, do I want to share it with everybody? I'm like, you're kind of like, this is my baby, and I'm still like, oh, there's certain things I'm hunting. I don't want everyone to know. But then at a certain point, I'm like, that's not fun. It's just not. Not the end game, right? And for me to get to the point where I'm comfortable, like it's just not going to happen on my own. And yeah.
So
any sense, but
if somebody wants to pitch in and help out, should they reach out to you? What's the
yeah, it's just a simple matter of sending an email to that site, and I'll try to respond. Let's see how much interest there is in this project.
I personally think it's absolutely amazing, Lee, that you've done all this for free for the community. Collectors today that are starting fresh, looking, hey, I want to go for a full set, have all these resources available to them. The spines in particular, I wanted to add. As a collector, I love seeing all those spines and going through that website. You don't have to scroll through full photos. You just see little spines and you can scroll through so many games quickly. And it's a good way to quickly read information.
Yeah, exactly. You can tell a lot from the spines. There's a lot of identification information there. And it's also sort of a way of establishing like the first print of a game. You have that as the placeholder, and then all the variants are inside of it. It kind of made sense to me, and it doesn't take up a lot of space, so things should load relatively quickly. I know some of the letters there have a ton of them, but it's pretty cool. And if it works the way it's supposed to, I'm still figuring out Weebly is the site builder that I used, but there's different options for how you want to display pages. If you want them to shoot out or open in a new page. If I'm opening somebody else's website, how long is that going to take? And then when I do go to build my own dedicated PS4 site, am I going to do that inside that, or am I going to have a separate site? These are all sort of questions. Someone was showing me that you can use ChatGPT or whatever that AI site is to help you with web building if you're a noob.
I'm sure you could these days.
I could start asking questions about the scripting and population and all that stuff that I'm learning about.
So let's talk names, because this is really a huge project. So you got a lot of people helping you out. Who's your go-to PS1 guy?
Well, it's been Jason Dvorak for sure on Game Rave. Like, he already has a huge archive of games. So for the spines, interestingly, like, he's chosen to sort of put what is it, his branding for his site sort of in small watermark spots, which is cool. And they're down res a little bit for whatever reason. So like the spines, he's actually redoing all of them for this project, like rescanning everything in high res.
Yeah. Nice.
Just the whole cover, right? And then I'm cropping them and putting them in there. So this is kind of something like you actually need to have the original. He has a graphic design background, so he kind of knows how to make the blacks look black and the whites look nice and everything like that. So it looks a lot cleaner, I think, with the spines having been taken from a scan of the artwork versus like with the reflection from the cases. So I plan to add that later for the PS3 and PS4. But for now, I'm just going to use the placeholders just because I got to get everything entered and get it linked up.
So we got Jason Dvorak on PS1. Who's the head hunt? Who's PS2?
Yeah, so Finn is the self-anointed.
Oh, I love that dickhead.
Yeah, so he and I met like pretty early on. Well, maybe not early on, but like before he went really deep into PS2, he was asking on some of the groups if anyone had a full set list, and I'd been variant hunting for a while, and after specifically like the collector's editions and like what I thought would be heavy. So I kind of had the lists put together, but I hadn't really gone deep into the library itself with just getting all the games. So like I think he appreciated the information and the heads up because he was able to hunt some of those things before they were common knowledge, and a lot of them took a long time to find. So I helped him out there with finding stuff, and he's pretty passionate about archiving stuff. So he's all on board with this, wanting to get everything working, show off the library, and he's doing the scans for the PS2 games. He's up to like letter D or E. So like if you look at the site as it's growing, we're doing the letters sort of simultaneously. I got the PS4 done ahead of everything else, but as I'm getting through the letters, I'm realizing this indexing function is going to come in handy. So like whenever they don't use conventional names and they change the order and it doesn't match what's on the cover, it's going to be somewhere in the library, but you don't know where. Well, if I use the same index on each console, you will know where to find it. And so I'll have that in the actual library. You can look at the index and see where things are. So that'll help. And also just sort of establishing what is a full set. So there's definitions of why things went in a certain place and whether you want to consider this as part of your set or not. So it should be easy to find. And then
I like that consistency too, because like some people will put the games under T, some people will put them under the title that the name is,
Yeah, it's kind of annoying, like again, just a pet peeve or being anal or OCD, but obviously everyone defines their own rules, but the rules should be consistent in and of themselves. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
And because every publisher does their own thing, right? It's like, screw you guys. You just screwed up my whole system. So now we have a system to fix that.
I already know the answer to this next question, but who's helping you out on PS3?
The man, Ricky Andre.
Dickie Dondre.
Yes. Yeah. So he's actually got a lot of stuff uploaded already. So I haven't been pulling him into this as much as the others because I'm just going to use what's there. And if anything's missing or broken, I'll let him know. I don't want to be asking him for scans every day or anything like that. The stuff that he did do for his site looks pretty clean. The resolution's pretty good. And he's tried to like show all different facets of things. So like the detail is there. So I guess he's sort of got an end game too. Like he's planning on slowly adding everything as he finds it, and whether he's hunting for stuff or not. Whether he
mentioned to me this week that he's considering adding PAL games to the website. So,
oh God, please no!
Big rabbit hole to go.
No, please no! God no!
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I love you, PAL guys.
And then if we add that to make it complete, you'd have to add all the Japanese titles.
No. All right, Lee. Other than you, PS4. Who's giving you a hand on PS4?
Well, right now, so for my own research, Austin Hackman helped me a lot to get items and, with what about this for your list and that sort of thing. So like in actually making the list that I think is as complete a list as any, there's so many different companies putting out games that you need eyes. You need people to remind you, and Limited Rare throws up something at midnight or whatever, right? I don't have to tell you guys that, but he's been one of those guys. There's a few others out there as well, but it's been mostly me just because I don't think anyone's as crazy as I am. like to go after everything.
I'll send you a full set PS4 North American collector your way. How's that sound?
Yeah, that would be super.
We had
helpful.
Chaos on the show a couple of months ago.
Comparing notes would be
He's going
fun.
for a full PS4 set.
I'm kind of weird. Like I want to finish this. I want to get the scans for all the PS4 games, and it's like, you have so many things that are sealed. I wish somebody else would crack it open so I don't have to, and do the scan. When it gets to that. So having a pool of people that would have things that are already open, that would be super helpful.
All right, and last PS5. Who's I know the answer to this one, but which dickhead have you pulled for that?
Yeah, it's got to be James Johnson there, right?
Fuck that guy.
Well, you missed a couple of PlayStation systems.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I haven't mentioned it. I haven't mentioned the PS Vita or the PSP. I know we're getting there.
Yeah,
But,
I had a
one
couple
the
of
two.
names thrown my way, but they're not people that I know, and I'm outside of my realm there. So I'm gonna need help from the community and either nominating people, or if you're that guy, just sort of step forward and let me know if you're in that deep that you want to try to contribute to like a full set PSP list and make it public.
So do you have anyone on board for PSP or PS Vita?
No, I don't.
No.
I think there's just question marks.
Everyone listening?
Yeah.
Got a full PSP or a full PSP.
Totally up there. And like I kind of need executives and like people to do different tasks for the other consoles as well. So like there's the main people that just are known sort of in the community and
Lee, let me ask
publicly
you
have said that they have full sets, but
are you a member of the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, 4, 5 Ain't Dead groups? Any of them?
I know I'm on PS2 and PS3 Ain't Dead. PS1, I don't know if that group's dead.
No, PS. We never played with PS1 Ain't Dead. We
Right.
we glommed it on to PS2 because it's just too much shit. But
yeah, I think I remember hearing you say that one.
PS2 Ain't Dead. It's our biggest group. Check it out. PS3. It's our second biggest group. Check it out. PS4. Actually, the Vita group, I think the PSP and PS Vita group is bigger, and then PS4 and PS5 is our smallest group. But yeah, we have a lot of fun there. You can still learn shit, and a lot of dickheads in there. Come on. I would love to have you as
I guess now that I put this out there, I have to actually go on a bit of a witch hunt and try to find more people
on the help.
Yeah, I would love to have you as a trophy member. Just to say you're my menagerie of members. But yeah, shit. Cool. It's quite a what's the word I'm looking for? Ambitious. Quite an ambitious task or website.
Not just that. I think the ambitious task is the going for every set yourself. So I think doing this website on top of that sort of goes in hand with making going for the full set. I know when I was going for my full set, I was also making the list at the same time, and it sort of went hand in hand.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, right? Like it's a grind, definitely, when you're staring at the screen for hours, putting stuff in, but like you're uncovering stuff and you're sort of in uncharted territory, and not doing it alone isn't really fun. And you can't say for certain that things are accurate, right? Unless you have other people involved to confirm stuff and help. So it's kind of a natural progression for me. I think this is where I was going to go anyway. It just, I want to get there faster. I don't want to wait till 5 years after the PS4 is done putting out games and then say like, okay, guys, now that this game doesn't exist anymore and it's $500, let's try to get it. If you have more people looking for stuff at the same time, does that have the same effect? Like, I don't really know. Like a lot of this sort of knowledge that's speculation or acquired over time, like sometimes contributes to the demise. Artificially, the scarcity can come from that, or it's like the chicken and the egg question, right? Like, I feel like I'm sort of at the front of that a little bit. If I'm doing this, like, am I going to make things harder or easier for people? But like I said, it's more about the veracity of the information and just people want to know what they're paying for, right? And you don't want to buy something that's incomplete. That's annoying as hell. At least,
yeah, 100%.
For sure.
Like,
Lee, so is access to the site available? Can people access the site today, or is it is there beta?
So it's nothing anybody hasn't really seen before, other than the spines right now. Like the it should work. Other than that safety certificate thing, you got to bypass. So
Easy to get through it though.
Yeah,
You
the
just click one button.
PS1 pages are being entered, but like everything on GameRave is good to go, right? I just got to get the placeholder in there to link to the site.
So
And then
what's the,
there's certain things that he has planned for his site for the future, like for PS1, that isn't up on the site yet. So like talking to him is good because I have his blessing, but I don't want to be redundant either. So if something's missing from his site and I want to add it to my site, like it's still going to be accessible to the same person that's looking for PlayStation 1 stuff. So
we're talking about Jason Dvorak's site.
yeah, it's for GameRave. So it is kind of a way of dividing the work, but also like not overloading the servers. And you know, you're paying, what are you paying for anyway? If I'm paying for web hosting, like if it's going to allow me to do things different or better from his site, like it's good that I am able to communicate with him to sort of plan those things.
Well, let the people know. What's Jason Dvorak's site? What's it?
It's www.game/rave.com.
What's
that little mid slash?
What's Ricky's site? I don't know.
It's PlayStation. That's funny that I never remember the name of his site.
Oh,
I will leave the link to all the pages in the description, guys, so you can check them all out.
It's RickyAndresAdickhead.com. Okay, and then Lee, what is the name of your site?
It's the PlayStation Collective. Not with the in the title, though. It's www.playstationcollective.weebly.com, I believe. I sent the link to Figsy so he can put it up.
All right, so there you go.
I'm planning to maybe pay for a version that's more capable, so that the Weebly will probably end up being removed from the title.
Yeah, the beginning of this podcast was free, but yeah, we eventually had to kick in cash and pay for it, so it was more capable, and I think we're all the better for it. So yeah, it's
production quality's through the roof on this show.
Production quality, that's the key term.
On that note, I think we'll call that a night. Lee, it was an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast.
Great having you on the show.
Thank you for showing your collection, your website, the videos of your collection. It was great.
Thanks, guys. I really enjoyed being on the show. I feel like I still kind of glazed over things. I'm trying to sell people on the idea, but sometimes the product speaks for itself. And there's definitely a lot of things functionally that aren't on the page yet. But I think the vision is there, and it's just going to take some time. And I'll learn how to do it, or I'll get somebody that's more knowledgeable to help. And eventually we'll get through it. So this is going to take some help from everyone. So
hopefully from this podcast, some people will give you an email and want to contribute to the site.
Yeah, I think you're going to touch some people, and some people are going to touch you appropriately, not inappropriately. But,
not Will's way of touching people.
Yeah, well,
yeah, it's just one of those things, right?
Pillow talk, baby.
Yeah, I call it integrated experience. Like you take whatever you've acquired in life, or your knowledge of yourself, or whatever you're good at, and you try to make it count for something, right? So I think that if this becomes something, then my collecting will have counted for something, right? I'll ease a lot of the guilt for not playing games.
Oh man.
And, I'll find some way to roll things out so that it's fun, and it'll keep people coming back to the site.
Well, we'll definitely check up on your progress in the future, because you're coming back on at some point, Lee. So don't worry about it.
Sweet. Yeah, I got lots of stuff to show off, right? I still got to show stuff off for my ego.
We'll get you on with some of the committee members in the future to talk.
Yeah, it's all about flexing that. It's all about the flex. All right. Well,
thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you guys next week on the PlayStation Collectors Podcast.
Good night, everybody.